welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Jasmine, and I just want to welcome everybody. If this is your first time, thank you so much. Welcome in. If this is not your first time, if you've been rocking with me since the beginning, thank you so much. You have no idea how important it is to have people that are along for the journey from the very beginning. So I appreciate you so much. Over the last couple of weeks, we have had some new listeners. We have had a lot of people that have been tuning in, whether that's just on social media or they've actually taken the time to go watch the full episodes. I just thank you. Welcome. So I am going to do something a little bit different today. Usually you're seeing, especially if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok or any of social media platforms, you're just seeing my guests because that's who I'm mainly featuring in these conversations that I am having. But you probably don't even know who I am. So yes, I am Jasmine. I am a mom. I am a photographer by trade is what I've been doing for about 10 years full time, but I just recently dialed that back to where it's actually become a hobby again. So it's not my full time anymore. And I'm also the host of the Black Girls Speak Up podcast. And you may be wondering like, girl, why are you here? Why did you even start this podcast? So that is what this episode is all about. It's a little reintroduction of who I am to the people that have been rocking with me since the beginning, to the new listeners that I've garnered over the past few weeks, past few months. I just want to welcome you in and kind of tell you a little bit about why I'm here, why I started this podcast, and we're going to dive into that today. So the first reason, why am I here? Girl, and I did write some notes because I can talk and I don't want to be talking and rambling all over the place. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that today. We're going to be focused. Okay. So, why did I start this podcast? I started this podcast because I, like many other women, want to have a safe space. They want to find a place where they can be open and honest about where they are in life, motherhood, relationships, and not romantic, because I feel like there's enough romantic podcasts out there that are talking about being in a relationship with somebody. It's enough for y'all. So we really don't dive into that too much over here. We're going to be talking about relationship dynamics between one another, between other women, between relationships with yourself. How do you treat yourself? We're going to have all those type of conversations here, finance, business, self-care. Those are the type of conversations we're going to have, especially when it comes to your mental, because one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years is that your mental health can be one of the biggest game changers or hindrances when it comes to you doing what you need to do in life. And so that is the type of conversations we have. And because if you didn't notice, I am a Black woman, we have those conversations, and I tend to have those conversations with other Black women. That's why it's called Black Girls Speak Up, for the inner child, the inner Black girl in you that needs a voice, that may not have had a voice when you were growing up, that may have missed the mark somewhere where that was not nurtured properly, which is some of the conversations that I have with some women that I like to talk to. That's who we're talking to. That's the voice that we're proclaiming and making an example of. We want to push that to the forefront. So that is why. I also, like I said, I am a photographer, so by trade. I did that for 10 years for my full-time job, and that's because I grew up in a space where I was always a storyteller. I was always a creative. That's the background. That's why I decided to have these type of conversations now. It's a sense of storytelling of our lives. We come from so many different backgrounds, but in the essence of it, we have all these similarities. And so I use the background of being a photographer, being that storyteller, being a creative from when I was a child. I've always done it. I've always had that as as a space in an outlet. So that's why I decided to switch back to just it being a part-time thing for me, because I wanted to get back into storytelling in a different form, in a different fashion. This is another space for me to have that creative outlet and have these type of conversations. That's creativity. That is a storytelling. That is living out some of the things and speaking out loud about some of the things that you have experienced in your life. And so that is where this comes from. One of the biggest things that made me really decide to fully dive into starting this podcast a couple of years ago was actually out of grief. It was born out of grief. It was born out of the relationships that I lost, the family members that I lost, and needing a space, needing one time, but needing a space to be able to share community with people that could experience similar things to me. And grief comes in so many different ways, but for me specifically, let's go down the list, because it is a list. When I was about in my mid-20s, I would say about 25. So 2016, the oldest of the siblings, is 6 of us. My oldest sibling, my brother, he passed away from pancreatic cancer. It was something that was very sudden. He had been experiencing some pain and things in his life, but he did not go to the doctor until it was too late. And when he finally did go to the doctor, within a couple of weeks, he was gone. Like almost immediately, they put him on hospice care once he got to the doctor. So around that was like June of 2016. Around the same time, my sister Jamela, my brother Eric, then my sister Jamela, she was diagnosed with breast cancer around that June of that year as well. And she when I tell you she fought hard. She fought a lot. So over the next year and a half, she had a double mastectomy. She did chemo. She did the radiation, all the things. We thought that it went into remission. We had the whole party. We were like, yes, you did it. You fought. But girl, cancer, she's nasty, okay? Cancer spread after she did all those things. So the first round of her treatments was getting the double mastectomy and getting chemo. Thought it was gone. She did radiation. Thought it was gone. No. Then it spread to like lungs, and eventually it did by the end of 2017, or like October of 2017, it had spread to her brain, and she was not given a high chance of survival rate at that time. And so by December, she was gone. Fast forward to 2018, I got married. I had my daughter 2019. And by 2020, I was filing for divorce. Yikes. It was like being with somebody for as long as I never intended to go into marriage. And I've said this on previous episodes. One of my most recent episodes, I was talking with Zaisha, and we were talking about divorce and how you don't go into marriage thinking that you would get divorced, that you would be a single parent, that you would, all of these things that come with that you're like, that wasn't my intention. I got married, had a child because I'm thinking that was going to be that connection, right? We're locked in. Clearly we weren't. So 2020, I filed for divorce. It was finally finalized in 2022. And then in 2023, that year, when I tell you I was about to be out of here, depression was real that year. And here's why. The end of 2022, my sister Amanda, Mandy for short, that's what we called her, she found out she had like some form of lupus. We didn't really know what it was. She had an infection that just, she could not fight off. And she was a little stubborn at the time and was trying to find other methods to treat that infection, and finally was taking the steroids, which can do a lot to your body. But inevitably, in the beginning of 2023, she passed away due to the complications of that infection and the lupus and all of that. And that was already a lot. Because if you think about the dynamics of me and my siblings, I'm the youngest. Mandy was 6 years older than me. Jamela was 3 years older than her, so 9 years older than me. And then my other two siblings that are still here, which I'm like, y'all can't go nowhere. And then you have my other two siblings, and then my brother was above them. So that happens at the beginning of 2023. March rolls around to us finding out that our mom has pancreatic cancer, and she also fought. We took her to chemo. She was living with me at the time. Like, post-divorce, my mom moved in with me. I found a cute little duplex, and my mom stayed with me to help me with my daughter because she was not in preschool at the time. And so my mom was there, and we started doing all the treatments, taking her to chemo, whatever appointments she needed. But it was very, very aggressive. And so, which pancreatic cancer, if you don't know anything about that type of cancer, it is a very hard thing to fight. And it all depends on when you catch it, what degree it is, and all of those things. But it was very aggressive. So by the end of 2023, we close out the year again in that time. Like, December, babes, when it comes to Jasmine, December is not one of my favorite months. It's not my favorite. Because either December or January, we were either losing somebody, or January losing somebody and having their funeral service in January. So that time of year, count me out of here. I'm trying to do something other than the regular holiday things. Got to do something else. So anyways, my mom passes in December of 2023, and then we have her service in January of 2024. So I've experienced a lot of grief and a lot of pain of losing people that mean the world to me, or losing relationships that I thought was gonna be solid, and having to navigate that space. Thankfully, I've had a lot of Black women or community around me that helped me get through that, so that I didn't lose myself. I didn't lose my mind. These are life events that sometimes you don't experience until you're later on in life. And that's when you start losing family members. You start losing your parents and your grandparents. I was in my 20s, from my mid-20s to my early 30s, losing very significant people in my life and trying to navigate that space and not really having all the tools. Because let's be honest, if you have ever gone through anything, a lot of times we're not taught how to grieve. We're taught how to celebrate life. We do what's it called? We have the wedding ceremony, we have the baby shower, we have all of these things that celebrate newness. But when something comes to an end, we're not really taught how to navigate that space. And so I had to go through a lot of this navigating on my own, or in adjacent to somebody else that's going through the same thing as me. And we're trying to figure it out together. I have, over the years, learned how to communicate what I need when I'm going through those things. But that's by building community that I've been able to do that. And so that, in essence, I know I took the long route to tell you this, but that in essence is why this community and why this space is here. Because we don't talk enough about how to navigate hard things. We don't. And we go through hard things on a daily basis, but we're not really taught how to even show up for people that are going through hard things. We're not taught how to grieve properly or say what you need. I've been very lucky to know how to communicate to the people around me what I need and when I need it. But that was over time. The first few instances when I lost somebody and I was trying to figure out what grief looked like on me, I lost so much weight. Mind you, I'm 5'7" and I'm currently 36. But at the time, I'm 5'7", I was 125 pounds. The first time I had to deal with something like this, 125 pounds. I looked malnourished, but I didn't know what I was experiencing. I didn't know that what I was going through was depression. I didn't know that that's a part of one of the phases of grief. I didn't know. I'm just like still going to the gym, working out because that's what helped me clear my mind, but I wasn't eating enough food. I wasn't taking care of myself properly outside of working out just to take up space in my mind. We have to figure out ways to show up for people so that you can notice. People around me did not know that that's what was going on. They had no clue. They knew I liked to work out, but they didn't know she's this skinny. Not on purpose. Like, it was not on purpose. People thought that it was on purpose. And I look back at the photos and I'm like, no, I did not realize that. And I'm glad that I have the photos to show myself, like, Jasmine, take care of yourself enough so that you never get back to this space, because that was an unhealthy space to be in. But now I can look at certain things. I can communicate with my friends, with my family, with those around me, say, hey, if I ever get back to doing X, Y, and Z, I'm not in a healthy space. So, I feel like I'm rambling. Let me get my notes. We are also here out in a sense of the grief, the motherhood. Single mom life was not a part of the plan. It wasn't. And I know other single moms. I know other women, whether they're married single moms, because that's the whole thing. Women who have experienced traumatic events in their life and they need space to feel safe to talk about that. I want space for women. And I know, guys, yes, you are welcome, because you might learn something here for the women in your life so that you can show up better for them, so you can see the cues, see the signs when you need to step up and show up for them. So this is not just, yes, it's Black Girl Speak Up, because I'm the Black girl that's speaking up. But this is a space for Black women, but men, come to the front too. You can listen, you can watch, you can tune in, because this is a space for you to learn something. Add your 2 cents in. I do have a couple of guys that I would like to have on the podcast for your perspective, but this is still a safe space for us to have community. Because at the end of the day, with all the mess going on in this world, we still need to find space, time to show up for one another, because we can't control this government right now, because, babes, what is it? But what we can do is show up for each other's mental health. We can show time, give time and space and energy. That energy exchange can be something very significant in somebody's life, for them showing up for themselves the next day. So many people are struggling day to day. So having this community here is what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Okay. Outside of that, we are going to create a sense of urgency for people taking care of themselves. I want like urgency. It's not to scare you, but it's life or death. You caring for yourself can mean life or death. And I don't want people to take for granted how limited time we have here. But you need to enjoy and take up space while you are here, if that makes sense. There's urgency to live. I need there to be some urgency to show up for yourself, show up for the people around you, because people like this. And that's because I've seen it. I've seen it. I have siblings that did not make it to 40, and I'm like a few years away from 40. So I have urgency to live this life and live it to the fullest. So come here, be a part of the conversation. This is me in all my tears and all of my raw emotion that I will have on this podcast, because again, I want to have very open and real conversations with you, because there's urgency that you need to put on your life to live it and live it to the fullest. So come, we're going to have more Black women, because I like the girls. We're here for the girlies. Okay. Again, y'all can come to the platform too and listen and learn something and add your 2 cents. But yeah, tune in for more of the Black Girls Speak Up podcast. Learn some more about me and all the things that I have experienced on the daily basis and want to share. This is a community. This is a conversation. So I love your feedback. Always welcome. All right. I will see you guys in the next episode. The next episode, it's going to be good. It's going to be funny. It's going to be good. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.